Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Cinetroverts, the show for the cinephiles that are also introverts. I'm your host, Mondo, and with me is...
Tabitha.
Hello, Tabby.
Hello, Mondo.
And with Tabby and I is also Jules, our puppy, staring at us from the couch.
He doesn't have much to say about movies.
No. So we're back for episode 3, and this time it's personal. This is our third episode now. Hopefully you've listened to episode 1 and 2, so this is now episode 3. We're going to calm down a little bit this week. No lists of movies. The last couple weeks we've had a bunch of movies to go over. We're going to be cool this time. We're going to drop it down a little bit. We're going to talk about just a few movies that are all connected to each other. A trilogy, if you will. Well, they're not a trilogy, but it's a movie and its sequel and its remake. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a bit. But let's go ahead and dive in. Tabitha.
Yes?
What did you watch this week?
What did I watch this week?
Yes.
I watched a Netflix original movie. Well, that's not really true. It's on Netflix, though, called Deidre and Laney Rob a Train.
Okay, so it's not a Netflix movie.
It was... I guess it is. I mean, they have the rights to it and everything, but I mean, it was, like, screened at festivals and stuff.
So it's a Netflix movie now. But now
it's a Netflix movie, yes. I mean, it wasn't made specifically for Netflix, is what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
But now Netflix owns it.
What's kind of cool is, like, Netflix is becoming, like, this really big monster in movie distribution. Mm-hmm. Like, they're making their own... They're, like, buying up movies from festivals or buying up independent films, but they're also just making their own movies. Mm-hmm. Like, this week they dropped a trailer for the Death Note movie. It's based on an anime. I've never seen Death Note. I've never seen the anime.
I've seen the first 2 episodes, I think.
Is it good? Because I heard people tell me I would like it, and I'm not into anime at all.
See, neither am I. I feel like I can't accurately answer that question because I just don't like anime.
Okay. Yeah. I was
the
hogtied.
premise is interesting. I'll say that.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. I was hogtied and forced to watch hours upon hours of Dragon Ball Z in my teenage years, and I just hated it.
Every guy except you that I've been involved with has tried to make me watch Dragon Ball Z. And I thought it was strictly a guy thing, but I'm so glad it's not.
Aren't you happy, like, when I whispered in your ear, I'm like, hey, I want to show you a movie. It's animated. It's Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Weren't you, like, bracing yourself for, like, oh my god, it's going to be Dragon Ball?
Yeah, at least two other guys have been like, here, what? It's amazing. Watch it. And I'm just like, no.
No, well, I'm so glad to be the man of your dreams that doesn't try to make you watch Dragon Ball.
Yes.
No, but they just Adam Wingard, who directed The Guest and You're Next, and the most recent Blair Witch film, he directed Death Note, and it looks really cool. People are a little upset about we're not going to talk about controversy, but people are a little upset that they casted a white kid to play a Japanese role. Again, like it's been going on lately.
Again.
But yeah,
right,
I'm going to get into a little bit of that later. But anyway, what else did you watch this week?
Well, can I talk about the movie first?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
I really liked it. I mainly watched it because Ashley Murray is the lead and she plays Josie on Riverdale.
Oh my goodness.
What?
All right, go ahead.
And she was really good in it. It's a cute movie. I don't know. I like the family dynamics of it. Basically, it's 2 teenage girls and their little brother, and their mom goes to jail at the beginning. Oh. And I guess the oldest, Deidre, is 18 because they're allowing the siblings to stay with her as long as she keeps, food in the house and electricity on and everything like that.
Got it.
So it's not that easy for an 18-year-old to support children, go to school, and keep a house going.
Well, it is if you turn to criminal activity.
Well, the title is a bit misleading. They actually do, in fact, rob several trains, not just the one.
Oh, okay.
But I liked it. It was cute. Tim Blake Nelson is also in it. He's the...
I know that guy. Who is that?
Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou? He's the third one.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he's the cop that's investigating the robberies. Mm. And it was just funny, and it was sweet, and I recommend it.
Cool.
Yeah. What else did I watch? Right now, I'm halfway through the new season of Trailer Park Boys that just came out last night.
Man, I was watching just bits of it with you. I watched a couple episodes with you, but that's funny. It's so funny. See, I didn't know. I had heard of Trailer Park Boys, but I didn't know much about them until I met you. Mm-hmm. And then, now I'm kind of I don't know everything, but I know a bit, and I'm a bit more educated on them in in Canadian TV, eh? But no, there was a joke that made me crack up. What was that zombie joke last night? Because they were saying like, "Oh, didn't you see Night of the Walking something?" Or what is it?
Haven't you seen The Walking of the Dead?
The Walking of the Dead. So, zombie. He's a zombie.
Yeah, he's a walking zombie or something
Yeah,
like
that was
that.
so funny. And then that one this morning was really great. It's like, what are you talking about? Do you think the Karate Kid asked Mr. Jumanji? That was funny.
Yeah.
That made me laugh a lot harder than I thought it would.
Yeah, I really enjoy the Netflix season since it got brought back by Netflix. Like, the original run of it, honestly, season 6 and 7 kind of started to lose me. Mm-hmm. But then they took that long break and then Netflix brought the series back, and I've enjoyed all the seasons since then. So.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this one as well.
Like I said, Netflix is awesome, and they're doing some cool shit. I mean, I like...
But they're fickle.
Yeah, they can be. Yeah, they're taking stuff off left and right, but then they're adding cool stuff. I guess they have a big contract with Disney, because, like, Pete's Dragon's on there now, Zootopia's on there, stuff like...
So where's all the classic stuff?
Apparently they're supposed to bring those all on there. They've been doing it slowly. I'm waiting for a Goofy movie to get on there.
Well, I don't necessarily call that a classic, but I like that movie.
You're saying Goofy movie's not a classic.
I am saying that.
Because you don't want to stand out?
I actually have that soundtrack on my iPod.
I believe you, and that's why it's awesome.
I do.
Yeah, but I just can't stop talking about it. Netflix is just awesome. They are doing so many cool things. I saw a trailer for David Ayer's new movie, the guy that wrote Training Day, directed Suicide Squad. I mean,
you got sad.
Yeah, no, here's the thing. I like Suicide Squad, but it's messy.
It is.
It's fun, but it's got flaws.
I enjoyed it. At least it wasn't as dreary as Batman v Superman.
But at least Batman v Superman has Batman.
So does Suicide Squad.
But it has the warehouse fight sequence, which makes that whole entire movie worth for me. But
to be clear, I haven't hated any of the DC movies like a lot of people have. Uh-huh. Like they definitely have problems, but I don't outright hate them like a lot of people.
Yeah, some people are just like hating.
Yeah, some people
drinking their haterade.
Some people are just not having it.
Drinking their haterade, coming down with diabetes. But David Ayer has got a new movie. It's a supernatural cop movie with Will Smith. It looks really crazy.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's called Bright. I just saw a trailer for that recently. And then the news that, this is awesome, the guy that directed The Raid, he's got a new movie that Netflix just acquired.
Nice.
That's awesome. So if you haven't seen the Raid films, definitely check those out. They're really great. The guy knows how to shoot action sequences, and he knows how to make violent cinema. It's pretty cool. He also did a segment in VHS 2. I think it's called The Safe Haven. It's the one with the religious cult in Indonesia.
I haven't seen VHS.
Oh, it's a trip. That was my favorite segment. It's funky and crazy.
I wasn't much for VHS 1, so I didn't.
There are segments that are good, but anyway, what else did you see this week?
That's about it, really.
Yeah. You know what? Mm-hmm. Yeah, go for it.
Well, you watched more of it than I have, but we've kind of been watching Better Call Saul. But
yeah,
I'll leave that in your more capable hands because I only watched a few episodes.
I just finished it this morning, just a little while ago.
Yeah.
It's Saturday, April 1st. So I just finished Better Call Saul this morning. It dropped on Netflix this week, and I was going to talk about that on our weekly releases. But yeah, Better Call Saul just dropped, and I binged it this week, all week, just watching it. And it's really cool. I mean, we were talking about it it's kind of in some ways anticlimactic because we know Mike's going to live and get through Breaking Bad. We know Saul,
we know what happens
Jimmy.
to Tuco and
we know
Jimmy.
what ends up happening to Tuco. We know what's going to happen to Mr. Salamanca, a.k.a. Theo.
Gus is coming on season 3. We know what happens to Gus.
Gus is on season... Oh, I can't wait for that. So this season ended really well. It's really cool. If you haven't seen it yet, get to it. It's definitely related to it's like Breaking Bad's cousin. It's got that same vibe where there's this dark humor, this humor thing going, this twisted kind of humor. Mm-hmm. But then it's also a serious, intense crime thriller.
Yeah, well, Saul provided a lot of the humor in
that
Breaking
stuff.
Bad.
And then you get to know more Mike, too. And, okay, so remember the other night I was saying Mike knows a lot more, because Mike's an ex-cop. Mm-hmm. But he knows so much stuff. He knows how to break into places. He knows how to kill a man with 2 fingers. Mm-hmm. He's extremely intelligent and very covert. It's he knows way too much for a cop.
Cops are stupid. They don't know anything.
They hinted at his past.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So he's buying a gun from this guy. He's looking at a sniper rifle. He's yeah, these are great models. They'd be good. He's yeah, we could have used these back in the jungle. I was Fuck, Mike was in the Army.
Oh.
Mike's got a military background,
Mike
so
was
that
a Nom?
explains a lot more. He was a Nom. He had to have been a Nom, yeah.
He fight King Kong while he was there?
He fought the Kong. He fought Charlie Kong.
And he lost, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there.
But no, it's really cool. It's really cool. I really enjoy it. There's a lot of really big nods. One scene later in the season, Saul or Jimmy is eating with his girlfriend at the doghouse.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, it was like this really obvious nod. And then, oh, dude, we see Theo, man. We see Mr. Salamanca. And it's crazy. I love that actor, too. I'm suddenly forgetting his name right now. But, so you know Theo from Breaking Bad.
Theo?
What is it, Theo? And he just makes this, like, curls up his lip and breathes hard through his nostrils.
Dings his little bell.
And dings his little bell. Yeah, he's in the series. And you see what happened to him before
he's in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
Before he rings the bell.
Exactly.
Did it show what happened yet, or is he still...
You don't know.
Oh, you don't know yet? Okay.
You don't know what happened to him yet, because he's just kind of like... I don't know. He's alive and well, perfectly fine. He's scary too. He's like a dangerous drug dealer. He's a scary person. But he's got this thick accent. He's like, "You're gonna do what I say, and then you're going to die." You know, like he's like really heavily confronted. And then who else comes out? And it's not a spoiler because it's all the previews. The Salamanca brothers, the twins. The twins. Oh my gosh, those guys are scary.
Or are they cousins?
They were two close cousins, I think.
Okay.
And they're brothers. They're not twins.
Okay.
If they're twins, what's that word when you're a twin that doesn't look like you're not identical?
A fraternal?
Fraternal twin, yeah. They may be fraternal twins. They're definitely brothers.
Okay.
They're definitely brothers.
Okay. They have that great sequence in season 3 where they attack Hank in the parking lot.
Oh my god, this is the most intense moment ever. That's probably, I told you, that's my favorite season 3. Mm-hmm. But Mark Margulies, he's the guy that plays Salamanca. He is in everything. He's in every Darren Aronofsky film. He always pops out. You'll probably know him from Ace Ventura. He's a landlord. That pops up like Jim Carrey owes him, right? He's like, Ventura. Yes, Seaton? Never mind the wisecracks, Ventura. I heard animals in there. That's Salamanca. He's really awesome. He's a 77-year-old dude, but yeah, he's really great.
Cool.
But so I saw Better Call Saul. Watched that, pretty great. And then I finished Iron Fist.
And did it?
Oh,
I guess not. I guess it did not
was so
improve.
hard to get through. And you know what? I'll dismiss the fact that it's a white. The character was always a white guy, but I know there was a lot of outrage. Like, it should have been an Asian. You know what? You could have cast an Asian actor. It wouldn't have made a difference. No matter how good the actor was.
Are you sure? Because a lot of your complaints were that the guy was not convincing in his fight
No,
scenes.
it's true. He's not convincing in his fight scenes. If you were to hire an actor that was that was a little more convincing, fine. But then the problems would have all lied within the character itself, because the character is heavily flawed, and I don't mean like dramatic
in a good
flaws.
way.
No, yeah, he's like his motives are unclear. So many things are conflicting. And then just, I don't know, the plot goes in circles. You know how when no one knows Danny Rand is Danny Rand, he comes in and he's like, I'm Danny Rand. He's like, no, you're not. Danny Rand's dead. They spend 4 episodes on this before they're finally like, oh, it's Danny Rand.
Oh, that's annoying.
Like, it's really long process of him, like, grabbing people and, like, whispering, I'm Danny Rand. I'm not going to hurt you. It's like he does it so long. I'm like, dude, okay, fucking, let's get to the point. Like, I was really annoyed, but there's just a lot of issues with it. I really hope the Defenders is way better. And there's something that popped out online recently that I read. It's not fact. It's not fake news. The showrunner for Iron Fist is also the showrunner for Daredevil. No, not for Daredevil. He was a showrunner for Dexter, season 7 and 8.
Oh, the season that nobody likes.
Says a lot. Now, I've met a ton of Dexter fans. I'm a huge Dexter fan. I've met tons of Dexter fans. I have not met one single person that was happy with the ending.
Oh, neither have I.
It's like unanimous. I've yet to meet a person. I'm sure there's someone out there like, what are you talking about? The show ended great. There is not a single person I've met that liked the way Dexter ended.
Yeah, I didn't even watch Dexter that much, but
And then
I knew about the ending because
someone told you, or
people
you
were-
read about it, right?
Yeah, because people online were not happy.
Yeah. Oh man, they were mad. And then, like, here's the thing: I was late to the party. I didn't see it till it dropped on Netflix. So I never. I tried to watch it all live, but I didn't have cable, so I'd have to just try to watch it online or something. So once it landed on Netflix, I'm like, good, there it is, there it is. I'm watching it. Binge of the season, not bad. But then when you get to the last 2 episodes, it's like, what the HE double hockey sticks? It was just bad. So, yeah, there's that. But I digress. But that's all I really watched this week. But if you think about it, those are all episodes of stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, we currently have on mute right now Last Action Hero with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I love this movie, and I would love to do an episode on it one day. This movie's great. I've been wanting it for a long time, so I picked it up, and it's really cool. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've watched this week. Not as productive as most weeks, but hey, I binge watched through 2 series. So yeah, I guess that is a bit. But let's talk about this week's release. Not a lot dropped. Some stuff dropped a little early. I mentioned them on last week's episode. But this coming week's releases you can watch them on Amazon, you can order them on pay-per-view, or you can just buy them. You got Office Christmas Party that came out, which I really wanted to see. It looked hilarious, just never got around to it. There's a lot of movies coming out at the end of last year. Then we got busy, so we didn't make it to that one. But I wanted to see it. Independent horror film that did not look very good. Don't Hang Up.
Never heard of that one.
Yeah, it's about these guys that like prank calling people and like messing with them. Like, so you're like, oh, there's someone in your house, don't move, or whatever. Like, they're gonna kill you and something like that. They just mess with people. Then someone calls them and it's like, if you hang up the phone, I'm gonna kill your sister. Okay. And it shows like a video. It's like a guy wearing a like latex mask of like a regular dude, but like a bald head. Kind of like Ryan Gosling in Driver, how he had that mask with the bald head. I don't know if you saw Driver.
No, I didn't.
Okay. Anyway, he walks around with this stuntman mask. It's like a bald guy.
Okay.
Well, anyway, the guy's wearing a mask. It's like an old bald guy. It's kind of weird. But anyway, it didn't look that great, but that's come out. But if you're into that, straight to DVD indie horror thriller kind of thing, you got that. Then a movie I do want to see, it's called Don't Kill It. Yeah, we got 2 Don't movies on the same same release week. Don't Kill It is with Dolph Lundgren. He plays a demon slayer, monster hunter. It's directed by Mike Mendez, who made The Convent, and he made Big Ass Spider. He's just a really cool genre filmmaker. He makes really cool movies. He had a cameo in Chillerama in the zombie sequence. It looks really fun. My friendly acquaintance Christina Klebe, who played Linda in the Halloween remake, is in it as an FBI agent who teams up with Dolph Lundgren to take out evil. It looks like a fun movie, not to be taken seriously, just a good time. So keep an eye out for that. You can order that online. Netflix did drop some stuff. Better Call Saul is one of the things. There's a couple other things. I'm trying to get a good look. I didn't do enough research this week, so I'm sorry. I kind of dropped the ball on that. But look around a little bit. You'll see some cool stuff on there right now. Especially Better Call Saul. That's the big one. But, alright, so that does it for this week's releases. So let's go ahead and dive into our show this week. We're going to talk about When a Stranger Calls.
Yes.
Dun dun dun. So the original movie came out in the 80s, late 70s.
Yeah.
And then there was a sequel to it that was like a direct-to-TV movie in
That
Canada.
came out in like the 90s.
Yeah.
Maybe late 80s, early 90s, something like that.
And it was called When a Stranger Calls Back.
Which
and
really, there is no calling.
There's no calling. Yeah, I realized it.
It should be called When a Stranger Knocks.
Or When a Stranger...
Ring the doorbell.
But here's my theory. It's called When a Stranger Calls, so it's like when like a gentleman caller, like someone's calling on you.
Oh, is that what he was doing?
I'm not even guessing.
He was trying to court her.
Yeah, it looked like it. He was obsessed with her. But there was When a Stranger Calls Back, and then there was a remake in the early mid-thousands.
I think 2006,
Something like that, yeah. So we're going to break down these movies and talk about them a bit. Let's go ahead and start with the original, When a Stranger Calls.
Okay. So I have mixed feelings on this movie because I love the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And the rest of it is not worth watching more than once.
For those go ahead.
The story that you're familiar with, babysitters getting stalked with phone calls, the calls coming from inside the house, that's the first 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Then after that, Carol Kane is gone until like the last 10 minutes. And it just becomes a very boring cop drama.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. For those of you that aren't familiar, What a Stranger Calls is like the original movie. Actually, Black Christmas is technically the original movie. This kind of stole it from that. Of a stranger calling a babysitter, calling a girl, taunting her, stalking her, freaking her out. Her calling the police. Then you find out the call's coming from inside the house, from upstairs, where the children are sleeping. So this is an urban legend story. It goes way, way back. So there's like, people say it like it is based on a true story. The closest thing that they can come to it was a town somewhere in the Midwest where a girl was murdered in the 50s, 60s.
Yeah,
she was
babysitter.
Right, she was a babysitter. And nothing, as far as I know, nothing happened to the kids. But the girl was found strangled in the living room. No signs of breaking and entering. And she had gotten phone calls. That's all they can get. They couldn't trace the calls back then, and they had nothing to go off of. But she had apparently gotten several phone calls that night, and you don't know what happened. So, interesting. But, so it's true. The first 15, 20 minutes are really tense and really creepy.
Really tense. Yeah.
And then...
Especially the first time you watch it. I remember pausing it several times just to be like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Yeah. And then Carol Kane, I mean, who doesn't love
She's
Carol
great.
Kane? I mean, Addams Family Values is like my favorite thing she's done. But she's been in a lot of movies and TV shows. But, so, I mean, then the movie totally shifts gears. The guy that is allegedly doing the stalking murders the children and then tries to, kill Carol Kane at the beginning of the movie, who played her, Jill, what's her name?
Yeah.
He tries to kill Jill. He's put in prison. So we jump forward a few years, several years. Like 5 years, I think?
5
Maybe
or
more?
6?
Yeah.
I feel like it should be more, but based on where she's at the end of the movie, but I think they only said 5 or 6, yeah.
Right. So I want to say there's been more because she's suddenly married with kids. So
yeah,
I want to
with
say,
kids who look about 5 or 6. So
yeah, I was like, she must have just jumped right on it as soon as that happened.
But she did pretty well for herself. She got a nice house and everything.
Yeah. But anyway, the movie shifts gears after the opening sequence. It jumps forward several years, and then we focus on the killer. He escaped. It's very unorthodox.
He escaped, or was he released?
A little bit of both. I think he just early parole, but then he just something like that.
The father of the murdered children at the beginning then hires Charles Durning, who was the detective at the beginning, to track him down again.
Yeah, he got out. He's a terrible person. Get him.
Yeah, so basically.
He tracks him down, so he's doing like the PI thing, tracking him down, and we're kind of doing like a Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. Remember, we're following this guy around, and we see how messed up he is, and it's just boring. He's not very intriguing. He's kind of a weirdo, but that's it.
He meets this woman.
Yeah.
And then she's sort of the focus for about 15 minutes, and then she disappears too.
Right. There's just not much going on. It's really weird. It's a very drawn out character piece, and it doesn't really work.
No, and then for reasons, I guess, he goes back to stalk Carol Kane at the very end.
So now she, it's been years, she's now married, she's now, with the kids, and her life is perfectly fine. She's gotten over the trauma that happened to her years before. She's out to dinner at a restaurant with her husband, and, back in the day, you get a phone call at a restaurant, the waiter would be like, "Excuse me, madam, there's a phone call for you up front," and it's like their fancy restaurant, and she's like, "Okay," she goes and picks up the phone, she's like, "Hello," and all of a sudden you hear, "Have you checked the children?" No! And she freaks out. And the ending is actually really freaky.
The ending is actually
it's
pretty
scary.
good.
For having such a strong ending and a bull poo-poo middle.
Right.
The ending is really creepy.
If you watch the first 20 minutes and the last 10 minutes, that's all you need.
It's like a short film.
Right.
It's like a half-hour movie, and it would be fine on its own.
Yeah, but I do love the scene at the very end when she's going through the house and it's dark, she's checking on her kids, and the kid's got like a piece of candy in his hand.
He's like, yeah.
She's like, "Where'd you get this?" And he's like asleep. He's not really. And she's like, "Where did you get the candy?" It's. I think that's creepy.
Mm-hmm. It is really creepy.
Just the implication of that.
And then she lies down in bed. She's staring at the closet because the closet door is open a crack. And I want to say a hanger is moving or something. Like something's moving. That's unsettling to her.
Well, he starts talking.
Yeah. She hears the whispers.
Yeah.
And then she turns in bed and homeboy's in bed with her wearing a wig.
Well, that was the problem with this, because yes, it is.
Yeah.
But if you hear whispering, you know if it's coming from next to you or in the closet.
Mm-hmm.
and she apparently did not realize this.
Well, we'll get to that for the next
Unless
movie.
he was throwing his voice.
He's a ventriloquist. But it's really intense because he just suddenly whips his head around and it's like...
Yeah.
The deer's like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's really scary, and then...
and I love... Yeah. I love about the opening, too, is, I love the guy's voice. It's... He's got, like, a British accent. And I love... Yeah, and he doesn't sound like he could be physically imposing, you know? He sounds kind of weak, you know what I mean? He sounds older, kind of...
And he apparently isn't much to look at. He's really skinny and lanky.
He is,
and he is older. So...
Yeah, so I love his voice, and I love the house, too. Because it's a normal looking house, but there's like all these corners and shadows being cast, so it looks like someone could come around.
The way this film is shot, it's all shot in wide angle, so it's like you're waiting for someone to pop their head up in the background.
Right, you're waiting to see somebody, and you never do until the end of the sequence.
The music is really like very moody.
Great.
Yeah, it's creepy, and it's like
I love how it just drops sometimes, the music.
Yeah, and it's just really well done. But then I don't know, the ball gets dropped for the whole movie, and then it recovers at the end, but. But I don't know. But this movie's a classic because of the opening, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's so strong and well done.
Yeah.
And then so it was a pretty cool movie. And then nothing happens for a long time. Then apparently the guy decides to make a sequel. And here's the thing, he makes When a Stranger Calls Back. Now it's not really because obviously the stranger gets killed at the end of the first one, so this is a completely new
stranger
killer. It's a new stranger. Carol Kane does return though as Jill. She returns as a character. She's now kind of like a grief counselor of sorts, teaches women self-defense. Like, she's a strong character.
What happened to her husband and children? We
don't
never
know.
find out.
That's
just straight up not addressed.
That's one of the weird things of the movie.
But she's single, living by herself in this one, so I guess that didn't work out.
So, here's my thing. When a Stranger Calls Back, I like a lot more. Like, I just got... Okay, so I saw it about 2 years ago for the first time, and it scared me. Like, I don't rattle very easily, but I'm a grown man watching this movie in my house alone at night, and I'm watching it on the computer, so I'm like staring at the computer screen. The room is completely dark, no one's there but me, and I got chills, man. Like, it really freaked me out.
Yeah, when I first saw it, you couldn't find a copy of it anywhere. You just couldn't. So luckily it was on YouTube for a while, so that's how I first saw it. Yeah, When a Stranger Calls Back is very, very, very flawed. Extremely flawed. But just speaking from an entertainment perspective, overall, yeah, I have to say it's better than the original.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really creepy. So we got our main character, Julia.
She's really only the main character for about half of it.
Yeah, she's like she's in the first chunk of the movie. Same thing, she's a babysitter, is getting dropped off. Watch the children, cool. And kids are upstairs, cool. And she doesn't get phone calls. There is a mysterious stranger that shows up on the doorstep and starts knocking on the door.
Yeah, she doesn't open it.
She doesn't open it.
She's like,
she's smart. She's
she just stands on the other side of the door.
She gets to the door and she puts the chain lock on it. She's like, and this guy's like, hello? Is anyone there? And she's like, oh, yeah, what can I do for you? And he's like, oh, can I use your phone? My car died. And she kind of like looks out the window. She's like, and she can't see this guy. You can't see him clearly.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't see a car. He's like, it's down the road. I'm just trying to find someone to use the phone. There's no one answering their door. Please, just call a tow truck for me. And just do that for me. I don't even have to come in. Just call the tow truck for me. And she, gets a notepad. And she's like, okay. He's like, here's the number. 1-800, blah, 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 blah. My name is blah, blah, blah. My license plate is blah, blah, blah. She writes it all down. And she goes to the phone, and
the
phone's disconnected.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so she pretends to call.
Yeah, and
she's
then
like,
tells him that she did.
Tow truck.
Yeah.
And
hopes that's the end of it.
Right. And the guy's like, okay, thank you, and he walks off.
So he leaves for a little bit. She sees him walk away, And then he comes back.
Yeah, well, she walks around the house. There's creepy noises. She makes sure the doors are locked.
It's great. It's also a normal looking house, but it's 90s now instead of 70s. It's very white and these kitchen windows. It kind of looks like your house. Well, my house growing up.
Very wide windows in the kitchen. Yeah. Like it's just kind of it's just unsettling.
Open windows. So I mean, not open, but the blinds are open.
Yeah,
so again,
you can see inside.
You could see somebody.
Yeah, and so after a while, he comes back.
She actually did check on the kids once.
She did,
right?
And they were asleep.
Jill in the original never did.
You
by the way,
kids. You know they were dead, but that's it.
Yeah, but she never checks. She almost did at one point, but
she goes and checks. They're sleeping, no problem. So she's fine. She goes back downstairs. All's good, and he comes back.
It's so creepy.
And you don't see it. You don't see this guy. You just hear him saying there. He's like, the tow truck still isn't here. You didn't call them, did you?
That to me was the creepiest. You never called them, did you?
Yeah.
Because man, I just picture yourself in a situation like that when you're like, God, go away.
Yeah.
I can't help you. Please leave.
So he's like, please, like you need the number. Can you call again? And she's like, yeah, okay, fine, I'll do it.
Or just call my wife, tell her I'm going to be late, or blah, blah, blah.
He's like, fine, I'll do it. So she goes back and sits down, and the notepad...
It's gone. That she had written... the paper's gone.
The paper where she wrote is gone. Mm-hmm. That freaked me the hell out. Because, it's been so quiet. She's been walking around the house. Nothing's happened.
Yeah, because there's only one explanation for that.
And she writes, down on this paper on this notepad. She leaves it there. She comes back, the notepad's still there, but the paper's gone.
Yeah.
It's just like, there is no way. It's like, holy shit. It really scared me. That moment
and he just won't,
freaked me out.
And he just won't go away. He keeps tormenting her. Like, why won't you help me? What's the problem? Blah, blah, blah. I need you to do this.
And at one point, she's like, why don't you just go to someone else's house? She's like, because no one's home, Jill. You're the
Julia.
Julia. It's like, because no one's home, you're the only one.
I know, on the whole block.
It's like,
Which, first of all, I find a little hard to believe. The entire block.
It's got to be a Friday night, man. Maybe everyone's out. Who knows?
It's a suburb. Somebody's got to be home.
Well, maybe it's a football game in town. Who knows?
I guess.
I don't know. So, small towns are weird like that. Sometimes everyone's gone.
I guess.
There's a big town meeting.
A big town meeting?
In town hall. I don't know. But, yeah, no, but it's just still, it makes her feel very isolated.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not true. He's probably bullshitting, but
And she can't do anything. She's stuck in the house. The phones aren't working. I guess there were no cell phones that everybody had back then. So.
Yeah, so correct me if I'm wrong. She runs upstairs at that point, right? And sees the kids aren't there?
No, she doesn't. I don't think she runs upstairs until he comes back and he tells her there's someone in the house.
Oh, yeah, there's someone. Because he leans in and you see his silhouette, right? Is that or is that too soon? That's not happening yet.
That's a little later.
Okay, but she tells him, Julia, listen to me. There's someone inside your house.
No. What he says is, you don't live here, do you?
Oh, yeah.
It starts to get really creepy.
You should just take this over because I'm screwing this up.
Well, I don't know it beat for beat, but he's just like, you don't live here, do you? He's like, there's someone in the house with you. I've seen him upstairs through the windows or something like that. Yeah. And then he leans in, and that's the part that really freaks me out. When all of a sudden you see his silhouette, and he's like, you need to get out right now. I think, if I remember correctly, that's when she runs upstairs.
Yeah, she runs upstairs, and the kids are gone. Uh-huh. They're not in the beds. He's like really freaked. It's really freaky. And then, if I remember correctly, she runs... Is this the first movie or second movie? See, I might be getting mixed up now. She runs to the sliding door to try to make sure it's locked, and it's open.
I don't remember that.
Is that the first movie?
I'm fairly certain that did not happen.
I swear she goes to a sliding door.
That could have happened. I've seen the first one a lot more.
Yeah.
So
you find out it's open. It's like, oh crap, someone's been inside the house.
Yeah.
And then she runs and
she does open the front door, but he's not there.
He's not there. It's the shirt of the little kid, of one of the kids. Mm-hmm. And it's like open the door and whatever. She opens and sees that. Then he's like, Julia, look into the living room. And then she turns her head. She sees the guy in a silhouette. He's standing there in a trench coat and arms open for a hug. And he's coming at her. Right. It's just so intense.
Like Frankenstein.
Yeah, it's so scary, man. It's freaky. And then, so it jumps forward. She runs out of the house.
She gets away.
Gets out of the way. She runs into the dad. The parents just get home. Mm-hmm. Right then,
which is very similar to the original, because in the original she's going to open the door to leave. She sees the silhouette at the top of the stairs. She opens the door, runs straight into the cop. Right.
So she, now it's crossfade, jump forward. several years.
Where she's got
years.
an unfortunate new hairstyle.
Yeah, she's got like this really.
She's got like this mullet thing.
It's like a failed pixie cut.
Well, it was cute at the beginning, but then it's like mullety in the back now later, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, I don't really remember. But you know, it's for the times, man. It's for the times.
I guess.
And it's in Canada, so it's okay.
It's those okay. Wacky Canadians and their hair.
Well, that's okay. But so it jumps forward, and we don't know what happened to the kids. We don't know what happened.
Yeah, that's
in general. The guy got away. You know, whatever.
The kids just vanished.
The kids just disappeared.
Which I thought was going to come into play at some point in the movie, and it just doesn't.
And they never find them. They don't know what happened. So
I assume he murdered him. I guess.
Yeah. So she, now lives by herself in a different town. Like a couple hundred miles away, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, she's in college now.
Yeah, she's far away. Lives by herself. Keeps to herself. She goes home, and she opens her closet, and she freaks out. One of the kids' pajamas are hung in her closet. Yeah, she keeps going to the cops saying that little things are wrong, that stuff has been moved while she's out. Yeah, and they're not taking that seriously because, people misplace things and then they forget, and that's true. She's like, no, I'm very precise. Like, I have a book. I always put it on my coffee table. Last night it was on my nightstand. That kind of stuff. Like, yeah. And, sometimes you swear you put things in certain places and they end up somewhere else. It's really weird and funky. Yeah. You get really creeped out, but... she's very specific. Just like things like that have been happening, I know. And then we introduce Carol. Her apartment's kind of bare, so you probably would be more apt to notice something like that. There's not a lot of stuff in there, and it's small. Yeah, so if something were really out of place, you probably would notice it more than in a really cluttered place, Right. And then Jill comes back into it. Yeah, Carol Kane plays the same character, Jill. Yes. And, she starts talking to her about, her stalking situation. And she's like, well, something happened to me once. Something happened to you twice, actually, but I guess we forgot about the second part. Yeah. So, they talk about it. She, talks about self-defense. And at one point, it's like, let's get you a gun. Let's get you a gun to protect yourself. Yeah. And then we bring back Charles Durning, too. Charles Durning, yeah. He plays this character, his retired cop character. He talks to Jill. She's like, there's someone out there who's doing this, that, and the other. So they try to, put it together. At one point, they go back to the house where Julia had been babysitting. Mm-hmm. And they try to put together the crime. Like she said, there were two men. One was outside the house talking to her. The other one was inside the house, and, she saw him. He tried to hug her or was coming after her. And then there was a window right there in between everything, in the living room. In and her argument was that he couldn't have gotten from the porch to the window that fast. Yeah, it's not possible, so it had to be one man. It was how is that possible? They're saying, well, this window was open. And then it was it's possible he was a ventriloquist. And here's where it falls apart. It's he might have been a ventriloquist. What I like about it more is that it's stuck to the story that it's set up. It follows... the girl, I like that Jill is in the whole thing. It doesn't go off on this weird Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, like you were saying, tangent. Yeah. But it's consistent with the story, which makes up for it. But then Julia gets shot by the attacker off screen. Yeah. You'd almost miss it if you weren't really listening. You're like, wait, what happened? Yeah. So she's in a coma now, and she's basically not in the movie anymore. This movie started out about her and, overcoming her fear and everything. No more of that. We're done with that. Yeah. So then it's just Carol Kane and Charles Durning. And they're tracking this guy, and she's at, a grocery store at one point, and she hears this voice, taunting her in the grocery store. Well, something really creepy happens first. She passes, I guess she was a former alcoholic, so she passes by the vodka. She looks at the vodka, and then, no, and she keeps going. And then she comes back to her basket. There's a bottle of vodka in her basket. Oh, yeah, you're right. And it's really creepy. It's whoa, what the hell? And you hear, Jill. It's oh, gosh. Really freaky. This guy's got a creepy voice, too. So does the first one. It's just... Yeah, but really what I did like about this guy's voice is that, especially in the beginning when he's feeding her the story about his car, it sounds like a normal person, you know what I mean? It doesn't sound like a particularly evil or scary voice. It sounds like a normal guy. Well, when he does his whisper thing, it's really creepy. Yeah. So, later he does it more, ooh, I'm scary. Yeah. So the thing is that I guess Charles Durning's character establishes well, he's a ventriloquist. And the thing about ventriloquists is they know how to do something called voice throwing. Voice throwing is when you're able to make your voice sound like it's coming from a different place. Which is the logical conclusion you would arrive at. You're right. But it's I've never actually heard anyone able to do it, but apparently it's possible.
I know it's possible. I've never heard anyone do it.
I've never, me neither. I'd love to. But I know some ventriloquists, and they're really great. But I don't know if they can voice throw. But I don't know. And anyway, it's a really random thing. But you hear his voice throwing because he's talking to Jill and taunting her in the grocery store. But you don't see him anywhere. You don't know what this guy looks like. We've never actually clearly seen him, really.
No, just doing his Frankenstein walk.
Yeah, and like you've seen the silhouette. There's a really creepy scene after Julia is shot off screen. The thing is, everyone thinks that she did it herself. They think it was self-inflicted. Jill doesn't think it was self-inflicted.
Yeah.
And then they find a note. Like, they find something written. It's found under the bed in a notebook. Mm-hmm. It's like scribbled. It says, dark, can't see, something like that. So we're assuming that the killer, or stalker, the stranger, turned off the lights, left Julie in the dark, and she was trying to write a note to Jill. And then she got attacked and then shot.
Because you would do that instead of trying to get out.
You're right. So I guess she didn't want to make noise or something because I don't know. I don't know the logic behind it, and it's harder to really try to depict what actually happened because you don't know what happened.
Yeah, because it's off screen. You think that would be important enough to warrant a scene, but I guess they ran out of budget.
And I could imagine with what they did in the first scene, it could have been really masterfully directed.
It could have been.
It could have been really good.
Or it could have been like the climax.
Oh gosh. So anyway, at this point, Charles Durning tracks down a ventriloquist act, and we see our killer finally. But he's like all in black, has black makeup on, and does a ventriloquist puppet act. His like blackface thing. It's not a racial thing. He's just doing it to blend in with the background. On the stage, you can't see him, and you can only in spotlights only focus on the dummy. And it's at a strip club of all places. Which I thought was really funny because apparently in Canada, strip clubs are like, they do stand-up and talent shows in between stripping. So,
well, they don't want to be crude.
Yeah, exactly.
They have some dignity up there.
Totally. So, he gets thrown off stage by the managers. All right, because he starts not making jokes, but just getting political and weird and talking about abstract things.
Yeah.
Managers, all right, get out of here, you bum, you suck, you're never performing here again.
So Charles Durning loses track of him.
Yeah, you chase him outside the alley and loses him.
He ends up at Jill's apartment and locking her in her apartment. And you can hear his voice.
Well, before that, he gets to this guy's apartment. He gets to the stranger's apartment. He finds out who he is, where he lives, goes to his apartment. And he finds in the trash, he finds a bunch of hair shavings. The guy shaved his head. Like he had long curly hair or something. He shaves his head. His hair's completely gone. And there are photos of Jill's apartment. And the layout. The walls and everything. So then we get to the ending where, go ahead.
Yeah, so she can hear him taunting her. She doesn't see him. And then the wall starts moving. Because he has painted himself up like a chameleon to perfectly blend in with the wall. And he presumably also did this at the supermarket.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. And I laughed so hard when suddenly there's a guy painted up like bricks attacking Carol Kane.
And homeboy's naked, too.
Well, you gotta be, don't ya?
He painted his whole body. Like, he's just like... And he was like, I'm like, dude, you're committed.
It's the dumbest
He shaved his head, painted himself. He's like, I'm committed, Jill. We're on our own now, Jill. It's just us now, Jill. It's really creepy. But it's really weird and funny. It's so out there. It's like, wow.
Instantly fear of this man is gone, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. And, there's a struggle. Jill gets her gun, shoots him, and, he's done. He's dead.
Yeah, and then it ends very abruptly.
Yeah.
But so does the original.
Yeah, then Julia wakes up from her coma. Jill's in the bed next to her. It's like, it's over. Credits.
The end. We're done.
Yeah, we're done. So
we got no. We're so embarrassed ourselves by what just happened. We're just gonna end it now.
I mean, just homeboy was committed, man. I gotta give him that.
Wow.
But but altogether, I mean, the opening sequence just
the opening sequence is really
it's so
good.
well done. It's like, man, I would love to see that in the big screen. Just that sequence.
Yeah.
And I like that it's consistent with the storyline, but it has a kind of cruddy ending. It's like a little anticlimactic and really just obscene, like, just insane. Like
it is. It's ridiculous. But
excuse me.
but overall, it's more entertaining than the first one.
Yeah.
Even though it probably has more flaws in the story.
Yeah, because you never find out what happens to the kids she babysat. It's never really mentioned.
No.
You don't know what happened to Carol Kane's kids and husband.
Yeah, they just decided to forget about that.
And then, like I said, with Julia, such a our main character essentially. She gets taken out off screen. It's basically
written out of half the movie.
Yeah, it's like
off screen, like you said.
Maybe she was difficult to work with. They're like, let's just write her out of the movie.
I don't know. I don't know. Scheduling conflict, something.
I don't know. It was weird. It was such a random choice.
It is weird.
Although it is a Canadian movie, Canadian TV movie,
Those Canadians.
But I remember seeing previews for it when I was little, and I never saw the movie until, like I said, a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. So I never knew what the deal was, and I'm wondering how the hell I saw previews on TV. I don't know. I don't remember, but I know it's a Canadian film. But anyway, it's like I said, pretty entertaining, pretty creepy. Definitely check it out if you can find it. It's rare. I mean, we found a copy on Amazon.
Yeah, we did get a copy
for pretty cheap. You can probably
actually. I mean, I'm sure you can find a copy, but you might have to dig a little bit.
Yeah, you got to do some digging. I mean, you can't stream it on Amazon. It's something you got to literally dig for and find and buy.
Yeah.
My friend Tyler, he's the one that actually showed me the movie for the first time.
Yeah, it was on a movie channel.
Yeah, it was on Cinemax or something. And he saw that it was going to be on. It's like, holy shit. So he recorded it. So he's like, I'm saving this forever. So I think he was going to try to convert it, download it or something so we can put it on a DVD and have it. But I was tripping out. I'm like, dude, you have it. Awesome. Let me watch it. Because the only way I could watch it for a while was on YouTube.
Yeah.
There were clips of it. And I saw the first quarter of the movie, like after the whole babysitter sequence and everything. I saw that first chunk of it and a little bit after that. And then they didn't have the rest of the movie on YouTube. I was trying everything to find it. I'm like, I want to know what happens. And then I told Tyler what happened. He was like, yeah, man, come over. We'll finish from here. So we watched the whole thing, and I enjoyed it, man.
Yeah, like I said, when I saw it on YouTube, they did have the whole thing up, luckily. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So and then we jump forward to 2006. 5 or 6. Yes. I want to say 6.
So we jump up to Simon West. Simon West is known for mainly making action films. And he helmed the remake of When a Stranger Calls. I have no idea why studios ask big spectacle action filmmakers to make intimate thrillers that are all mood. Like, they're the mood pieces. They're supposed to be really suspenseful and tight and et cetera, et cetera. And they hire these guys that are known for explosions and everything else. I mean...
at least we can be grateful the house didn't explode or something at the end. Like, I'm just saying he could have done that.
Yeah, no, it's very true. The house could have exploded.
For reasons.
Yeah, so we jump to the remake where there is a serial killer going around allegedly killing babysitters. You get a hint of it with the opening. Where guys calling babysitters like, hello, who is this? And, you find out, she's like, oh, this is Brittany. Who's this? Have you checked the children? That kind of crap. Like, he just keeps calling.
This? Please stop calling me.
And he's murdering babysitters and children. Mm-hmm. Like, and then they get, like, the opening scene where, like, the main detective gets there and he gets to the scene and it's like, all right, so where are the bodies?
This hardened, grizzled detective is like, oh my.
He looks like Charles Durning, too. I wonder if that was an accident. He was like this chubby old fat guy. And, like, so he goes up the stairs. And he's like, well, what's the murder weapon? What do we got?
Oh, there was none.
That's the thing. There was no murder weapon.
He did it with his bare hands.
He did it with his bare hands. And then he walks into the bedroom and you don't see anything. You don't see blood or anything. You just see his reaction to the crime scene.
So we know it's for serious.
Yeah, it's for serial. And then
super serial.
Yeah, and then he's outside, like, trying to recover from what he's just seen. Then they're carrying out these really small body bags, which are children's bodies. You've got to assume,
or little people's
which
bodies.
is actually, or the little people.
You never know.
Yeah, but it was like, I thought that part was kind of well done. Like, it's kind of creepy seeing those little body bags being taken out. It's really disturbing.
Well, you see that in the original too.
Right.
They're carrying the little body bags down the stairs. That was pretty. Ugh.
Yeah.
Because I was about 14 when I first saw it, so I was like, oh god.
Yeah, it's more disturbing in the original for some reason.
Yeah.
It's a little more raw.
Yeah, I think because it's just happening while they're having a conversation.
And this
it doesn't really focus on it.
Yeah, this is just polished, like really polished and really new and modern, so it doesn't really have the same effect.
So you know what I think would have made this movie better? Is if they had a better lead.
Yeah, Camille Bell plays the lead, and she's done like tons of independent movies. She's not known for doing like.
She actually doesn't like horror movies in general, from what I heard.
Well, she's in. She's a little girl from The Lost World. The very beginning. Remember?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Who gets attacked by those little dinosaurs. Yeah.
She's like, would you like a sandwich? Mama, I found something. Other than that, she does like mainly independent films, and she's done a few bigger movies. Like I think she was in that movie 10,000 BC about the caveman.
I think that was her. I think you're right.
And then she was in Push.
Yeah.
And she's in some other stuff, but then she's like in a bunch of independent movies, And she's a pretty girl, She's cute. She can act.
No, I don't think she's bad.
But she's bad at this.
I don't think she was right for this.
She's bad at this.
She's way too meek and soft.
She's got that one. Yeah, she's got that one line where the phone keeps ringing and the cop traces the call and she picks up the phone.
This is near the end.
Yeah. She's like, stop calling me, you sick.
I know, and it doesn't sound forceful at all.
Yeah, stop calling me, you sick.
I know. Whereas Carol Kane has a similar moment in the original.
It's much more
when she's like, leave me alone. And it's like, she means it.
Yeah.
Not that that's going to deter him, but still. At least you felt like with her, she'd had enough,
Right.
Camilla Bell was just like, come on, stop.
Yeah. Stop it.
So she has to go babysit.
And her name's Jill, by the way.
Oh, yeah. They kept the same name.
Yeah, they kept the same name,
her name's Jill Johnson,
Yeah.
So she has to go babysit because she's grounded because she went over her cell phone minutes. Remember when you could do that?
Call it like, you know who plays her dad?
Yes, Agent Coulson himself.
Agent Coulson, yeah.
Clark Gregg.
And she's like, manager's like, we can't. He's like, you're not supposed to go over your minutes. We can't afford that sometimes. And he's like, can't you wait till 9? It's like, you remember that? I don't know. Do you remember that?
I do, but I barely used my cell phone back then. So I had one basically for emergencies at that point.
If you're old like me, there was that time when you would your cell phone minutes were free after 9 and on weekends, nights and weekends, you had free minutes.
So they have this whole subplot with her, which is sort of something from the original, where in the original she likes this guy named Bobby, and her friend on the phone likes him too, apparently. Mm. So in this one, Bobby was her boyfriend who made out with her best friend, Katie Cassidy. Mm-hmm. And now she's mad at Katie Cassidy, which is understandable.
And then her other friend, Tessa Thompson.
Yes, Tessa Thompson is in this, briefly.
Yeah. Which I thought was cool. Tries to keep the peace.
Yeah, she's trying to get them to make up, which I find a little hypocritical to be like, oh, you need to make up with her, but screw Bobby, don't ever talk to Bobby again. I'm like, they both did it. They both did wrong. It takes two to tango, is all I'm saying here. But yeah, so she has to go babysit for that. And this house she goes to, it's not normal suburb house like in the first two movies.
It's a pretty house.
It's a really cool set, but it's like you were saying, it's not relatable.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is like an estate.
You probably haven't been in a house like this.
No, I don't think anyone has unless your family makes seven-figure
obscene
income.
money, yeah.
Right. So it's an estate basically, and it's lakeside. They live on a lake, and they have these gigantic windows.
Floor-to-ceiling windows.
And the ceilings aren't like our ceilings, like normal people's ceilings.
Yeah.
Ceilings are 40 feet high. This house is gigantic, and it's really modern, and
in the middle of it, there's this huge green room, complete with a koi pond.
There are birds, there are exotic plants.
Yeah, there are birds in there. Yeah.
They have it's like a spraying system where the little sprinkler things go on and water the plants. They have a certain temperature. There's a bridge, you can walk across it. Not a huge bridge, but you can walk in it. It's like a little Chinese garden.
And it's out in the woods, and there's a guest house in the back that you have to walk quite a ways to get to.
Yeah.
So it is a cool setting, but it's not.
Yeah. I think it's really cool because that's neat, but it's not relatable. I think the thing they wanted to do was isolate Jill and make it really feel like she can't go anywhere for help. Because where can you go? You're in the woods. This place is literally in the middle of nowhere by a lake. Not going anywhere. You can't escape.
Yeah.
So but the other movies were set in a suburban area and they used focus on intensity. So you can still do it, but I don't know. They felt the need to go with this really extreme
location
house. Yeah. So anyway, it's she gets into trouble with her dad for going over minutes, so she's grounded. So all of her friends are going to some giant bonfire thing. I forget what it is. Like homecoming or something. It's some kind of
it's not homecoming.
It's a giant party.
I forget what they called it.
It's a giant thing. It's a really big thing that all the kids are going to. Oh yeah, it's really big because you see kids leaving school, getting on buses, and
of course all of her friends are out in the woods, so they're not getting cell phone reception out there.
Yeah, right. And then Katie Cassidy shows up at the house.
Yeah, I don't know how she knew where this house was.
Yeah, she never was like, what are you doing here? It's like, duh, I followed you.
Yeah, and Katie Cassidy is just kind of a terrible person in this. She's not really sorry for what she did.
Yeah.
Which you'd think you would be, but I guess not. So she shows up, they have a conversation. Katie Cassidy goes to leave and, of course, gets killed. It's not so scary at first because there's a housekeeper there.
Yeah. There's, like, noises. She's like, what is that? And she looks into the greenhouse. You see the housekeeper.
Like, feeding
throwing
birds
seed.
yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm unclear as to why they needed a babysitter then. Oh, no. They mentioned that she was leaving early to take care of her mother.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, so, and the kids are sick. They're getting over the flu, so they're in bed. It shouldn't be a problem.
Now, she does check on the kids.
Yeah, a couple times.
I'm just saying, Jill in the original, just terrible babysitter.
Yeah. She deserved it. Yeah, but... she checks on the kids and everything's fine. The house makes weird noises. I think it happens in the original with the ice maker.
The ice maker, yeah.
Yeah, so they pull that gag where there's noises. And
yeah,
she's like,
but then
she grabs the poker from the fireplace. She's like ready to burst into the kitchen. A lot of the rooms have motion light where you walk in and the lights go on. It's kind of crazy.
It is kind of cool though when because you do hear what I do like is the alarm system when she thinks they've come back home because the alarm goes off.
Right.
But then, she looks outside, there's nobody there, so she has to reset it, and they think, I guess it was just a glitch. That was kind of creepy.
Yeah.
But basically, this whole movie is the first 20 minutes of the original.
Yeah, and it's stretched out into a whole movie. See, when it first was coming out, I had seen the original, and I thought, they're going to do the same thing. That'll be cool. So, when the trailers came out, I'm like, all right, cool. Guys, this movie's going to be pretty cool. They're going to do some things with it. They're going to do something different. Well, we talking about the girls in the house, blah, blah, blah. You see it in the trailer. I'm like, yeah, but there's more. Like, there's so much more. So what's going to happen is the killer is going to get arrested and then, get released or escape and go after her again years later. It's going to be really cool. It's going to be interesting. It's not all set in the house. Oh, boy, was I an idiot. Then everyone called me a liar. Like, you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
What
was the stuff you're talking about?
I liked that.
I thought they was going to go another direction.
I liked the concept of the whole thing being that first 20 minutes. They just didn't sustain tension very well. If you got a really good director, he could do it,
I think it was a script, too, because the character wasn't
or
as
writer.
strong.
No, she wasn't.
And then the movie does end. I'm just jumping really quick to the ending here, but the big jump scare at the end, which, they did it with all movies now, horror movies nowadays.
David Fincher or James Wan or somebody, they could have really dragged this out.
Oh, yeah, Fincher, man.
Because I'm thinking of Panic Room.
Oh, yeah, imagine if Fincher would have done it.
Woo! Yeah, then it would have been something really tense.
Oh. That would have been
As
so
it is,
good.
they do. She gets prank called by her ex's friend once. The cat jumps out at her, scary cat.
Yeah, the cat scare. Gotta have the cat scare.
You gotta have the cat scare. What else are you gonna do for 90 minutes?
And then she starts getting phone calls from the stranger.
Uh-huh.
And the stranger is actually, they got a genre actor. They got a really popular genre actor in a lot of cult films, Lance Henriksen.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, the voice was not working for me.
Yeah, the voice didn't work for you. I think it was alright. I was somewhere in the middle with it.
It was okay, but the original guy's voice creeped me out. The first time I heard it, it affected me. This guy was like, eh.
Yeah. Lance Henriksen, you should know who he is. If you don't, shame on you. Bishop from Aliens. He's the android from Aliens. He's also a star of Millennium. He's also the crazy dude in Man's Best Friend that tries to kill the dog. He's in a billion things. Lance Henriksen is in everything.
Yeah.
So, so I thought that was kind of cool that they pulled him into the voice. I thought that was interesting.
He does one line really terribly.
Which one?
And it's a line from the original.
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you want then? And he says, the original, he says it like this. Your blood all over me. Like he's getting off.
Yeah.
This guy, your blood all over me. Okay, all right. I don't think that's what you really want, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, Lance is awesome. I love that guy, but yeah, maybe
that line reading's always bothered me.
Might have just been the reading or the direction. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? I won't.
Just the way he rushed through the second half of that line was like, oh, I guess I just want your blood on me. I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so she starts calling the police, for help.
Yeah.
And they're giving her the same spiel they did in the first one. It's nothing. Don't worry about it. You're fine. Blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. She thinks it's the housekeeper at one point, but then after a while she stops seeing the housekeeper. The housekeeper is gone. Yeah.
She's not there anymore.
But her car's still there, so she's like, Rosa?
And then they also say, the parents say earlier in the movie, like, oh, our son sometimes comes home from the weekend. He's in college.
Yeah.
He lives in the guest house across the way. And, we don't, like, if he shows up, don't worry about him. And he hardly ever comes in here. He never tells us when he's coming. He doesn't announce, blah, blah, blah. And then there's a part, there's like a windstorm going on at the time.
Yeah.
She looks across the way, and she sees like a silhouette.
That part was
like,
creepy.
The light's on in the guest room, you just see a silhouette walk past the window.
She calls out to the guest house, and she leaves a message, and the light is on out there, so she thinks he's there. And she's like, I've been getting phone calls. Can you just come up to the house and sit with me? I'm the babysitter. Uh-huh. And then you just see the silhouette past the window.
So you know someone's in there. It's
that
freaked
me out. That did.
And then she actually goes out.
For some stupid reason, she decides to run out to the guest house. Because I guess she still thinks it's the son at this point.
And no one's there.
Yep, no one's there.
It's just like, oh, okay, which is really creepy.
Yeah.
Because you kind of wonder how this guy gets around sometimes. You know?
That's true.
Like,
in the original, it's easy. He's upstairs in the bedroom.
Yeah, he's in one room.
Yeah,
he never moves.
He's in that bedroom the whole time.
Second one, when Stranger calls back, he's outside the house watching and comes in and out, and that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, your typical horror movie logic where they can just teleport wherever they need to be.
Right?
Yeah.
But then at one point she calls her friend. She hears his friend's phone ringing, and then she turns around, and the dead friend's on the floor.
Yeah, and then Katie Cassidy.
That was creepy. I was like, that was kind of well done. That was kind of well done.
Yeah.
And then comes the point where they're tracing the phone call. The phone rings. She's like, "Stop calling me, you
sick Jill.
Jill, we traced the call. It's coming from inside the house." I remember seeing this in theaters, and there were some girls.
I saw it twice in theaters.
Oh, why?
Leave me alone. I was 16. Gosh. I still have a soft spot for this movie. I know it's bad. I know it's bad, but I can still watch it. So I was watching this in the theater, right? And there's some girls behind me, like, the calls come from inside the house. Get out of the house, Jill. And all of a sudden you hear the girls go, "Oh my God!" I'm like, motherfucker, did you not see the trailer? Like, really? But anyway, I digress. Yeah, so at that point, cue the power going out and the lights going out. Of course. To her credit, she does bother to stop by the kids' room before she leaves.
And they're not in bed, so she freaks out, but they're hiding in the toy chest.
Because this is a PG-13 2006 movie, so of course the kids don't die in this.
So she saves the kids, and then she looks up in the rafters. There's fucking stranger hanging out in the shadows.
Yeah.
He jumps down like Spider-Man. It's like, oh God. And
they end up in the green room, and she has to fight him.
Yeah, she's like hiding, and she gets in the koi pond and is under the bridge. And you hear the footsteps on the bridge. You don't really get a clear look at this guy. You know he's got big ears.
He does.
He's skinny, lanky, and has really big ears. That's all you really know about him. And then, ultimately at the very end, she tries to get away, and the cops show up, and they get him.
I did like that she didn't have to kill him, like become a superhero all of a sudden. She just kind of jabbed his hand through with the poker and then runs out the house.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not very superhuman. It's, it's kind of what you would really do in a real situation, kind of like try to fight back and run away.
She is established at the beginning as a runner too.
Yeah, so she can run. Yeah. So it's kind of her subplot. It's like, she can ran.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is she's sitting there, by the ambulance with a blanket on her. The parents are reunited with their kids, and they're like, everything's fine. I can't believe this happened to you. Then the cop goes to talk to her. You know who plays the cop? That's been talking to her all the time. I can't think of his real name. I should have known this. Pam's boyfriend from The Office.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Roy,
yeah, that dude. I can't think of his real name. And he's Jason's dad in the Power Rangers movie.
I can't confirm this, but I feel like there were scenes actually with the cop at the station that were cut, because I feel like I've seen still shots of this.
I don't remember.
I feel like I have, and it got cut, or I'm possibly thinking of a different movie. Anyway, so and then it just ends with a jump scare. She's in the hospital. She wakes up. She's alone.
David Denman's his name.
And then stranger attacks her, but then she wakes up again. Hey! It's
what's interesting too is they show the stranger. They put him in a cop car. They're like, "Where is he?" He's like, "Oh, over there." The cop's like, "Over there."
he drives past real
and then
slow.
you see like the light. He's like sitting in the dark, and he's like staring at her. But then all of a sudden, the light comes on his face, and it slows it way down, super slow mo. It holds on him a little too long, I feel.
Yeah.
And it's an actor named Billy Flanagan. Now he plays Chibs in Sons of Anarchy. That's how you'll know him. And he's like in everything. He's in 24, he's in Face Off, he's in everything. You know him because he has an actual scar from his temple all the way down to his cheek.
Oh, it's a real scar?
It's a real scar.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So
I thought that was just for effect.
No, that's his real scar. Like he's in Smoking Aces. He's like the chameleon hitman that like always changes, and like he kills Joel Edgerton and then assumes his identity in Smoking Aces.
Okay.
He's like always like dresses differently, puts fake disguises on, disappear real easily. Anyway, yeah. So he's like, what's really funny though is he's got this really thick Irish accent. So if he was like, "Hey Joe, have you checked the children? Have you checked the children? I want your blood all over me." Like, it was really funny. But
That's why he's mad. They took his Lucky Charms.
Yeah, that's just one of Jill. The kids ain't my Lucky Charms. But like but it's like does a slow motion thing on him, so you see his face, and he's creepy looking.
Yeah.
But the voice doesn't match, and
No.
knowing it's Chibs, it's like Chibs wouldn't kill a babysitter. But anyway, no. But I just thought that was interesting how they casted him. I mean, this is before Sons of Anarchy, and he had been acting for years. He's in a billion things, but I thought it was really interesting how it ended up being him playing the stranger. I had no idea that was him until I rewatched it. Oh crap! That's what I watched this week. I did watch When a Stranger Calls this week. The remake. I watched it just for the podcast so I can get up. I posted that I was watching it on Facebook, and people are like, "Why?" I'm like, "It's for the podcast."
I don't care. I can still watch that movie.
Yeah. No, you
I
don't
can.
care.
I'm
You
sorry.
own it, don't you?
I do own it. I absolutely own that.
Dear Lord. Anyway,
I know it's not great. It could have been good though.
Yeah.
It had potential.
I was
the
really
premise
hoping.
has potential for
So
a full-length movie.
2006. I mean, that's when horror movies were just bad at the time.
And lots of remakes.
We were in a remake frenzy at the time.
Yeah.
So it was nothing but remakes coming out, and it was just kind of like, oh, really? But yeah, 2006 was just kind of like a weird, funky time for films and for horror movies, and because, like I said, we were in that remake stage. But I mean, it could have been worse. Could have been way better, but definitely could have been way worse.
Oh
too.
yeah. Oh yeah, it could have been worse.
I wish the casting would have been a little bit better.
Yeah, I wish they'd have gotten a stronger actress
Yeah.
to play Jill.
And I mean, the house didn't have to be so exotic and abstract. And
Yeah, but then
out
she
there.
wouldn't have gotten her
modern
run.
deco.
Then she wouldn't have gotten her run through the woods scene.
Postmodern deco. Yeah, are we out of the woods? Are we out of the woods? Are we out of the woods? So, I mean, but all in all, these are pretty cool stalker films. I like their concept and premise are so simple, and it goes to show execution, man. There are no original ideas anymore. It's all execution. So unless you're Christopher Nolan, you have an original idea, but sometimes. But
I was
gonna say, yeah, he's making Dunkirk World War II movie based on true story. But anyway, I mean, really, dude. I mean, a babysitter stalking movie. It doesn't sound like it'd be that good, but when a stranger calls back, man, that opening sequence is just—it's in my top 5 of all time scary sequences.
Yeah.
I think it really got to me, and I didn't think it would. I mean, I don't rattle easily, and that just got under my skin.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do. It takes skill. It's not a jump scare. It's not. It's so easy.
There are no jump scares.
Yeah.
That's what's great about
It's so easy for someone to throw a stinger and a scary image and make you go boo.
Yeah.
What's hard to do is make something that's effective that will get under your skin, give you goosebumps,
Getting your heart pounding.
get your heart pounding, make those little hairs in your arms stand straight up, hair raising, if you will.
Yeah.
A little nudge to my web series. Anyway, something very hair raising and something, I mean, that stays with you. It's hard to make something that'll stay with you and you'll think about, and you just won't forget. It's just really creepy, and that's hard to do. That doesn't happen very often anymore. James Wan, as far as I can think of, is one of the few filmmakers that can do that with horror.
Yeah.
Like, he's got a way of making creepy things that just stay with you. You just think about them. The Conjuring, when I first saw it, I didn't think it was that scary until I got home. That night when I was at home by myself in the dark on a computer, I was like, wow, I feel like I'm not alone.
Yeah.
It was just really, really creepy. And I don't know, it's hard to do. There's a few movies that can do that. This movie, a made-for-TV movie, pulled it off.
Managed to do it, which it did surprise me because I did not expect much watching a sequel 20 plus years later and made for TV. I was not expecting much, but that opening sequence
it was
is
kind of
great.
like he knew what he did. He kind of screwed up with that, criminal profile thing, and then let me go ahead and do it again, but I'll stick with my story this time. And I think he did it better. Like, he did so good.
Yeah.
But I mean, we'll see. I mean, let's see if this movie gets another reboot or remake or something.
Maybe somebody with a real eye for that kind of thing, with a real talent for building up tension.
Because it could be done, man.
It could be.
Totally could be done.
Yeah.
It's a rare feat. It's hard to do. You got to be really talented to be that kind of storyteller. Mm-hmm. But I think there are some out there. So hopefully, someone with an old dog pulls off a new trick, or hopefully we get a new puppy that has got some skills.
Yeah.
And, you know, so we'll see what happens. But, well, I think that's going to pretty much wrap it up for this week's episode of Cinetroverts. That was our rambling and review of When a Stranger Calls. Definitely see if you can find When a Stranger Calls back. Definitely worth a watch. I know we spoiled the whole movie for you, but definitely worth a watch if you can track it down.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
If only for that opening sequence.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yes, definitely. It works as a short film. It's really, really great. Really creepy. But, well, any final thoughts, Tabitha?
Not really. You should check them out.
Yeah.
Even the remake, just for completion's sake, it's not the worst thing ever.
Right. Yeah, so I agree. I mean, check them out. All worth them. All worth it. And then, like I said, the remake, I mean, you know, it's cool. It's nice to look at. It's shot pretty well.
It is.
You know, it's modern, so obviously things are very improved technically. I just wish the remake had the storytelling of the When a Stranger Calls Back. And,
Yeah.
oh, would have been so much better. But, well, anyway, guys, that will wrap it up for this week's episode of Cinetroverts. We'll be back next week with an all-new topic and all-new movie releases. So, this is Mondo signing off with
Tabitha.
And remember, if you see a Cinetrovert sitting in the theater by themselves, please leave them be. All right, guys, have a great week. We'll see you next time.